Now, what our approach to tick all these boxes is essentially we look at taking 3 seconds each day, one click of a button, dropped into your primary communication channel, whether it be MS Teams, Slack, etc. So it's like there's no new systems you have to have. There's nothing, and it just comes into that. And I can show you quickly. And so I can show you right now. This is what the Teams channel looked like. You see this chat at the top, me, a bot. You go in there, and every day it just comes through, and you click one of those numbers, bang, 3 seconds, done. Now, what we're going to do here is build a daily habit. Super simple, just like having a morning coffee or whatever it is. This now just becomes routine. And what we find is if we get people and they understand why they're doing it, they feel safe doing it, and they see the benefits of it, in the first 2 weeks are key to establishing this. You get the high adoption, you get the high frequency, and you get quality insights. This is high quality engagement data. About now, what are engagement insights? How does that help you as a leader in your business, in HR or whichever space there, and you're trying to figure out how do I grow my business through understanding my people and by increasing performance, increasing productivity. So I'm going to talk through exactly how we do that through engagement insights. In here in our portal, you have an insights report list, and we drop in insights on, it can be quarterly, monthly, depending on what's useful and what's happening. But let's say generally it's going to be quarterly, and we'll break it into a range of different reports. So let's start with an engagement report. And essentially what you're going to be looking at is what's happening across engagement in the organization. So this is some big picture stuff across departments, just giving you a feel of what's happening. And really here's like, is anything out of the ordinary? What we're looking at is changes through time of different drivers to engagement. And then what we'll start to pull out is some insights here as well, that what are the biggest things that people feel positive about in the organization and that people don't feel as positive about in the organization. This is just a quick look at adoption to make sure that adoption's at a suitable level for the data to be meaningful. Team stress, we start to look at, are there certain teams that are stressed? And if you consistently see stress in departments, then we can draw out insights and say, well, what do we do about that? Then we have leadership gaps. So what this is looking at is based on the number of direct reports, the engagement of people in their team. So we start breaking down by leaders to identify who may need some development, right? One of the biggest drivers, and as we touched on, one of the biggest drivers to engagement is the direct manager. So as you're scaling your business, you want to know the state of your leaders. They are the key to it, right? And it's about trying to develop managers into leaders to understand how they're going, and then to give them the support they need to grow to be able to do that, which then allows you to grow your business. Then we can look at performance drivers. So a big thing here is we're focused on performance. How do we get people to get into the right roles, to be connected with the business, to be aligned to the goals, to have maximum performance, right? And so what we start to look at is we start looking at top performers and bottom performers differently, to understand what's driving them, so we can do more of what's working for top performers, and we can address the challenges that's leading to poor performance. And through these insights, we start to then continually hone in on the right areas to get performance up. And we start identifying what is impacting performance. Now, then the other piece of the puzzle is looking at, now as people are leaving, do we have a turnover problem? What's happening in turnover? So we look at analytics in this space as well. So what we're looking at is some big picture numbers around what do we think turnover costs, what is the estimated annual turnover of the organization, and what are some benchmarks to compare yourself against. Then we start breaking down into like, who is leaving? Not all turnovers are the same. The big thing we like to focus in is regrettable and unexpected leavers, which means if you lose a high performer unexpectedly, that is the most expensive thing that can happen to your business. And we want to get to the bottom of why that's happening and how do we avoid that. We look at possible causes, potential actions you can do to get ahead of it. Then we can start to look at, on the other side to it, is what's the average tenure of non-regrettable expected leavers. So this is ones that we think they weren't great performers, they weren't having an impact. How long did it take for them to leave? What you're aiming to have here is a short tenure. You want to be getting that out. If it's not a good fit, that on a role level, on an organizational level, on whatever level, the longer that this category of levers exists, that's an opportunity cost to it. So we're trying to optimize our approach to talent. We're trying to keep high performers. We're trying to find more high performers, and we're trying to get people that aren't a good fit. It's not saying they're not great people. It's not saying that there isn't a company for them or a role for them. But if they're not right for you, we want for them to realize it, and we want them to move on to other opportunities. And that's the best scenario for everyone. So this is an example of how we look at turnover and why it's so important, because that feeds back in to our overall approach to building a high-performing team so that you can grow your business.